Hello and welcome to Hawthorne's Homestead. This is for the month of April. I'm very sorry that there was no month of March video. I switched jobs in March and also got sick. So had, a lot of issues through March that I just did not have the energy or the time to film. So not a lot happened there, except I did start my sourdough starter. So I'm throwing those videos into this video, and then I will be kind of updating you on where I've been with that, because I did some things where I didn't film. Today is the day. I have had this dried starter that a family friend gave me for almost a year, actually, probably about a year. And I keep telling myself I'm going to start sourdough, and I just keep putting it off. And so I've decided, I've started reading The Sourdough Whisperer, and I was sitting there reading it and just thought, it's time. It's absolutely time to start the starter, and then I have to do it because I have the starter. So I'm going to follow these instructions that the friend gave me. She's been doing sourdough for a while. So the first step is basically to mix the ingredients in a jar. And those ingredients are 1 tablespoon of the dried starter, 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, and 2 tablespoons of water. This is bleached flour, which some people say that you shouldn't be using or you can't use. She specifically has a note on here that many say do not use bleached flour, but it works for me, so I'm good with it. So I'm going to give it a try. I'm not going to use all of the starter today, so if it doesn't work, I'll go get a different flour and try again. So I'm going to try to get some of the little clumps instead of the big clumps. That should do us. So 1 tablespoon dried starter. Okay. Well, if I was looking for that, I found it. Ignore the mess back there. I'm working on it. Okay. Flour. 1/4 cup. And then 2 tablespoons, this is going to be hard, of filtered water. 2. Okay. Oh, and you're not supposed to use metal, are you? Ooh. I'll use this plastic straw, just in case. Because I don't remember if... I feel like I've read that you're not supposed to use metal, but I don't recall if that was debunked or not. I'll have to look into that. So we are to mix well, cover loosely, and let rest at room temperature. So I just have a little bit of flour. Oh, and a couple pieces of big starter. That aren't wanting to mix. I usually think of starter as being a little more watery than the consistency I have here, but we're just going with the flow right now. That's what we are doing. So here is what our starter looks like for now. Like I said, not as watery as I thought it was going to be, but I'm following the instructions. So that's just what we're gonna get right now. This is the new one. So we're gonna cover it loosely and set it on the counter. And then my next instruction is 12 to 24 hours later, add 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour and 2 tablespoons of water again. So I will see you then, maybe. So I realized as I was about to discard that I haven't been filming the last few days with my starter. In fact, it is Saturday and I started it on Monday. So a little bit of background. So the first couple of days, she did really, really well. And I fed her, I followed the instructions, and the first day that I fed her, she bubbled, and I was so excited. And then the next day, she never bubbled, and she formed hooch on the top. For anybody who doesn't know, hooch is like a grayish liquid that forms on the top, and it means that your sourdough starter is hungry. So went on ahead and poured out the hooch, which is a choice. You can either can or you can stir it back in. It's whatever you want. And so I elected to pour mine out. Fed her again. She did the same thing. I went to Facebook, where I am part of a Facebook group for sourdough, and asked the group what might be going on. And they said that it could be they asked me my ratio of water to flour when I fed. And I told them that it was 1/2 cup of flour to 1/3 of a cup of water. And they said that that was too much water. So right now I am discarding and feeding with 1/2 cup of flour and 1/4 cup of water. So hopefully it'll even out. But right now I am actually throwing away my discard because it is very thin, and I don't feel comfortable baking with it, because I think it'd just be more of a waste of time and more of a waste of the dough than to just go ahead and actually throw it away when I discard it. So I have just a little bag here. I'm going to discard half. That's about right. I do have a lot of guilt about throwing away the discard, but I feel like that's just where I'm at right now. And eventually I won't be doing that, so I'm telling myself it's okay. So I have purchased a huge jar for my flour. Very excited about this. Now I'm getting flour all over me. Anyway, this is 1/4 cup. I'm going to do 1, 2, and 1. Okay, now we're going to give you a little stir. I actually fed this morning as well. Just trying to get a reaction. I had hooch on the top of it first thing this morning and decided, it's telling me it's hungry. I need to listen. So that is what we're doing. Okay. And it is looking a lot better. I don't think, I'm kind of saying it's sick, but it's not really. It's just the term I've been using. But I think we're on the mend. So I've read you want to scrape down your sides of the jar because it will help keep the starter healthier. And there we go. Hopefully I will be baking with her soon. So as you just saw, I started my sourdough starter and had kind of a rocky start. I did talk to the family friend, and she did mistakenly put 1/3 cup instead of 1/4 cup for the ratios. So yeah, it's going really well at this point. I am keeping the starter in the fridge during the week and pulling it out Friday night and feeding it so that I can bake with it over the weekend. I have only baked a couple of things. I made a banana bread and a blueberry muffin. Well, I mean several, obviously. But they all turned out fantastic. I also have been able to gift the starter, the dried starter that I still have plenty of, to a couple of friends, one being in Minnesota. So the starter has traveled from around the Denver area to Indiana and is now some of it is in Minnesota, and some of it went back to Colorado in the Denver area to another friend who wants to start her sourdough journey. I'm still reading The Sourdough Whisperer, not as quickly as I probably should be, and I do plan at some point soon to actually attempt a loaf of sourdough bread. Hopefully I will be feeling well enough and I will be able to film that part of the journey and keep you guys updated with that. Hello and welcome to Knittermission, the intermission where I talk about knitting and fiber related crafts. This in the month of April, I went to what we call a fiber festival. This is obviously animal knitting such fibers, not dietary fiber. And we had a fantastic time at these festivals. You can find anything from the animal all the way to a finished object and anything you could need in between for spinning, knitting, crocheting, weaving, embroidery, all kinds of stuff. Just kind of depends on the booths and the vendors that are there, exactly what you're going to find. So I asked some of the vendors and they were kind enough to let me film in their booths. I made sure that each person that I filmed, I got their business name so that if anybody's interested in anything, they can look them up. And yeah, like I said, we just had a really great time, and I'm excited to show you some of the things that I got to see. Welcome to the absolute disaster that is my apartment. I've been sick and had some other struggles, so a whole spring cleaning is going to happen soon. But first, and for today, I wanted to do a farmer's market haul and show you what I'm going to do with some of the things that I got. So, firstly, I have some asparagus. And this vendor cut off the really thick woody parts of it, which is good for most people. For me, I actually make a pesto out of that woody part. But this was also the least expensive asparagus that was at the market, so I went on ahead and bought this one. Also, I found out that I actually know one of the people who worked at this booth, so that really worked out for me. So I got couple big handfuls of it here, so that's going to get cooked up here in a little bit. Also at the same vendor, I bought a dozen farm fresh eggs. I've never actually bought eggs at a farmer's market before, just because they were always a little out of my price range, but with the price of eggs the way that they are right now, I figured I'm paying about the same to get the farm fresh, so I might as well get the farm fresh. Okay, I also got a bunch of carrots, which I'm really excited about. I freeze the carrot tops for soups and such, and I am completely out, have been for a long time, and that's something I'm really excited to have in my freezer again. I also bought locally made maple syrup that I'm really excited for. I got their dark robust, which is cooked a little longer so that it is a little thicker and darker and has a much, or I wouldn't say a much stronger flavor, but it does have a stronger flavor. So that's fun. And then a local bakery also goes to the farmer's market. I got a sourdough loaf because I am not yet making my own sourdough bread. I also got their sourdough jalapeno cheddar, which is delicious. And another fun thing, someone that I used to work with, her son is a veteran, and he, for his PTSD, raises honeybees. And so they've, show you the front side, they've started selling their honey. It's called the Van Houten's Honey Shack Simply Honey. And I was able to taste it. I was able to see her, which I haven't seen her for a long time. And so we got to catch up a little bit. That was really exciting. And I get to support her son and have some local honey, which I'm really excited about. And last but certainly not least, Milo's favorite booth, which my farmer's market doesn't actually allow us to bring dogs. We have two in the area, and one is on Wednesday evenings and one is Saturday mornings. And the Saturday morning one, there are two different locations, and the Saturday morning one does not allow dogs. But I purchased dog treats for Mr. Milo. And these are pumpkin with carob, which carob is like a replacement to chocolate for dogs. So, first and foremost, we will have to see how this goes over. Mr. Milo, I need a taste tester. Or sniffing it. What do you think? This is the first time I've ever given him the carob. And he's eating it. He's just not sure. I'll probably have to give him one of the peanut butters after this. Again, please ignore the entire mess that is this apartment. You want another one?
You want this one? What do you think? Oh yeah, that's the flavor we normally get. We like that one. What do you think? Was tasty? Does make for happy puppies? You're a good dog. Yes, you are.
So one of my endeavors is to ultimately eliminate food waste for myself, but obviously that's easier said than done. So it's something that I'm striving for, especially things that I kind of paid a premium for at a farmer's market. So the first thing I'm going to do is take as much of this asparagus as I can and stick it in this jar. Okay, well that's going in the compost. I have a compost bucket down here. And like most compost things, it's not the cleanest. So I would prefer to just let that one little piece go. And it's not going to waste. A friend of mine has a composter. And I have been collecting my organic matter for her to put in her composter. I have 2 5-gallon buckets and we trade back and forth. So I give her one that's full and she gives me back one of the ones that is empty. And then the next week we flip. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is fill it up to about here with water and then stick it in the fridge. So that'll help make these asparagus spears last a little longer. Okay, for my next trick, I'm going to take the rest of this asparagus and I'm going to wash it up. And I'm going to start basically a frittata kind of meal here. So I'm going to wash these up, chop them up a little bit, and stick them in a skillet with some butter and salt and pepper to get us started. And next are the carrots, which I have already washed. And I'm going to remove the tops. And any of these pieces are going in the compost. Oh, these smell really good too. Oh, got some dried out. And I think for funsies, I'm going to add about this much to the frittata. Kind of like an herb. I'm just treating it like an herb. Goes in soups, obviously frittatas, where the butter should already be melting. There we go. It was thinking about it. Where's my bag? Okay. So I just stick this in the bag, pop it in the freezer, and add it, like I said, to soups. Anything that needs a little light carrot flavor and maybe some green. Okay, so we're keeping this. I'm going to wait till it cooks down a little bit before I put that in there. Okay, and so my carrots, I'm going to snip off the bottoms and the tops. And the tops go in the compost. And the bottoms are going to go in the dog. Because he loves carrots. Okay. And so some of these smaller ones, I'm just going to toss into the jar. Some of these little bit bigger ones, I'm going to slice in half. Whoops. And these are going to get covered in water and kept in the fridge for fresh eating. Oh, you smell it? You smell it? Okay, come here. There you go. He says, Mom, I smell carrot. And that is for me. So I went to my Asian market last night and I got pre-peeled garlic for a decent price. If it'll open. Come along, dear. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a couple, chop them up, and add them into my asparagus. I'm also going to go ahead and add some green onion. I'll wash this. And I'm going to use the green and a fair bit of the white. And then I'm saving the bulbs because I'm going to stick them in some dirt and regrow them. That's starting to smell pretty good. I'm getting hungry. Might have something to do with I didn't have breakfast this morning. Okay, so I'm going to cut off the stems, put them in the compost because I don't want that in my frittata. And then I'm just going to chop up these leaves a little bit. And yeah, they have some stems in there, but those are usually less woody. Not that they get super woody anyway, it's just a better texture. Okay, so throw that in the pan. probably going to be less of a frittata and more of a scramble because the pan that I have it in does not go in the oven. That wasn't necessarily, I didn't think that through. That was just, I was using the wrong verbiage. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do with this abundance of garlic, chop off the ends. Oh, nice to have some carrot on there. You don't want that. Okay, chop off the ends. Drop them into the jar. We have a jar of garlic. Okay, and we have some left over too. That is awesome. And we're just going to take, let's see if this has a, yep, this delightful honey. And pour it over. Kind of let that seep in. I wonder if I should have put like, I mean, this will work, but I wonder if I should have put, you know, a few garlic cloves and then some honey, and then a few more garlic cloves and then some honey. Might have just gone faster. But this is how I see everyone online doing it, so obviously that has to be correct. There's nothing on the internet that's not true. All right. Farm fresh eggs. And I've always heard this will work. I've always heard that when you have farm fresh eggs, to make sure that that they haven't gone bad or anything, you want to crack them into a bowl and then put them into your dish. Seems fine to me. Into the pan. Into the pan. And into the pan. Gonna add a little bit of water. There we go. And now I'm going to stir it. And I'm going to add a little more salt and pepper. Okay, we're going to let that cook up. Most excellent. More honey. Okay. I should have this scramble on with jalapeno cheddar bread. What do you think? I think that sounds great. That sounds absolutely fantastic, actually. So, whoa! bread cutting board. As of right now, I don't actually have a dedicated bread knife. I have one on my wish list though. So maybe someday. But until then, this functions. Come on. I didn't say it functioned particularly well, but it functions. I haven't eaten yet. That's part of the problem here. I didn't wake up as early as I wanted to go to the market. I woke up and went, oh shit, fed everybody, took the dog out, and then went to the market. So yeah, didn't actually eat. It's really hard to go to a farmer's market full of food when you haven't eaten, just so you know. Don't recommend. Okay. Don't you dare. That's a lot of food. But I'm a lot of hungry, so. Alright. We're gonna add a little more honey. And we need a fork. Of course, there's not a clean one. Why would there be? Well, that was an absolutely fantastic breakfast and a wonderful morning. So I'm going to get to editing this video, and I hope whatever you guys are doing that you're having a wonderful time and that things are going well for you.